If you think that you have an autoimmune illness or an invisible illness that needs to be discovered, don't give up. Yes, our system is crap. It's not easy to find a diagnosis. You most likely won't get a diagnosis in your early stages. It's important that you don't give up because you need a diagnosis. Seeking a diagnosis is not easy. It's really difficult. Most people who have an autoimmune illness that's not known or discovered, it takes a lot longer, not only for yourself to be able to find what's going on with you, but also the doctor. And I'm just gonna say it straight to the point. A lot of doctors are jerks, and they don't think that anything's wrong with you. They think that because you're so overly concerned about your health, that you probably have a mental condition, that you probably are a hypochondriac. And we have to get in our heads that it's for us that have an autoimmune illness or that has an invisible illness, and we know we do, it's going to take longer than the usual time frame to be able to get a diagnosis. We have to get that in our head. So our first question is, why do we need a diagnosis? You need a diagnosis so that you can prevent further complications from happening. If you don't know what you have, and you don't know why you're having these issues, you're not going to be able to avoid your triggers. You're not going to be able to avoid things that could potentially harm your immune system and harm you even more. You need to have a diagnosis. Now, according to the American Autoimmune Related Disease Association, they did a study where it showed that those that have an autoimmune disease normally spend at least 4 years trying to discover what's wrong with them. 4 years. That's insane. The reason why this takes so long for us to be able to discover that we have an autoimmune disease is because, one, doctors are not providing the correct test that's specifically needed for your specific issues. And two, a lot of your symptoms might not be showing, might be mild, they might be unspecific, they might not show up or increase until later on. And because of it's not producing or showing up in your testings, most of the time it comes out negative. We're getting put down from doctor's offices saying that there's nothing wrong with us, that it's all in our head. It normally leads us to that thought in our head like, well, why am I even trying this? I'm wasting all my money, wasting all my time trying to get a diagnosis. I've already paid for all this stupid testing that's not covered by insurance most of the time. What's the point? We normally get so depressed and distressed of what is even the point of even trying to achieve a diagnosis. But there's benefits as to why it's important to get it. Number one, once you get a diagnosis, it helps you connect with the exact doctor that you need to help with your specific issues. Two, it helps the doctors to be able to decide what testings you need for your illness and how much your illness has increased or decreased. Three, it helps your doctor to be able to decide what type of treatment you need, what's wrong with you, what could possibly make you go even further into a flare-up, can prevent you from even going through all these other testing drugs and get you specifically what you need. Most important thing is it helps you to become more educated in what's going on with your body. That way you can help yourself. Now, for someone who has had Lyme disease for over several years, we have to come to the conclusion that we just might not ever get a diagnosis. And what if we can't get diagnosed? What do? It's good to do an autoimmune self-examination test. It kind of gives you the picture of where you are and what's going on with you. And not for you to focus on the illness itself. It helps you more so to be able to inform yourself as to where to go next, what diagnosis you're possibly needing to get, which doctor you need to go visit, which doctor you need to see. Although when you get a diagnosis, your initial reaction might be that you're feeling scared or that you're actually really, really excited that you finally figured out what's going on and you know how to treat it now. But most of the time with these invisible illnesses / autoimmune diseases, such as Lyme disease, it's treatable, but it's not curable. So you can have these mixed emotions of feeling even more saddened or down knowing that you may possibly never get better. And that's just the reality. I'm not trying to sound negative in this video at all, but that's just the reality. You want to make sure that you're practicing resilience. You want to make sure that you're practicing to manage emotions and impulses, not to get angry or upset or anxious too easily. It's really important for you to be able to know that you can't control your illness, but you can control your triggers. You can control your emotions. You can control those things. You want to make sure that you're establishing healthy yet not harmful coping strategies. You don't want to do things that could damage your health even more. You want to take really good strategies to help promote positivity in your life, especially with having an illness that can drain you so much. With me, I've already gotten a diagnosis test. It took over 5 years for me to get a testing for my Lyme disease, which is why my Lyme disease is beyond the treatable stage. It's going to take a lot longer for me to get treated and to be able to put myself back into remission. For about a year, I was in remission, and I think it was because of the weather. We also moved to a higher altitude, and there's no air pollution where I am now currently, so it's helped me with my Lyme disease so much. But in order for me to even have known how to help myself with that, I needed to have a diagnosis so that I can get clear answers as to what was causing me pain. I knew that there was symptoms of like me being too much in the sun or certain food allergies, but me now going into depth and having a diagnosis and knowing what's wrong with me helps me so much more than me going without a diagnosis. And for the longest time, I was going without a diagnosis, and I was going in circles and circles and circles and circles. So it's important for you to know what you have and what exactly is going on. I'm sorry that I'm not the most bubbliest in this video. I'm not feeling great today. Some days I'm just like, yeah, let's do something. And then other days it's an emotional roller coaster. It's a physical roller coaster. It's hot freaking mess is what it is. But don't give up. Get diagnosed. Don't lose hope. You can do it. I promise you, you can do it. And if you can't do it, go back to that self-examination test, figure out what your triggers are, and look for the correct doctors. I have a video right there that I used to help me find the right doctor, if you guys want to check that out. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.